You ever get slapped so hard the whole airport goes quiet? That's exactly what happened to me at Gate C-54 in Westgate International. 1 second, I'm standing by the first-class lounge, scrolling through a message from my grandma. Next second, a flight attendant named Madison walks up, says I don't belong here, and slaps me. Right there, in front of everyone. Now, I'm not some rich brat who throws a fit when things don't go her way. I keep my head down. I travel light. But what Madison didn't know was my last name's Hart. My grandmother, Evelyn Hart, owns the airline. Like, literally. CEO, founder, built it from nothing. But Madison didn't check any boarding passes. She just saw a teenage girl and made her own call. And yeah, it hurt. But I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I reached into my bag and tapped a single message to Grandma. It happened. Thing is, that message wasn't just a heads up. It triggered something we'd built together. A protocol called the Heart Directive. A digital safeguard for moments like this, when someone in the company forgets what we stand for. Still, I had to board the flight. And guess who was manning the gate? Madison again. She scanned my ticket, 1A and 1B, my name on both. And even when it blinked green, she glared at me like I snuck in through the cargo hold. She leaned in and muttered, "Privilege doesn't mean entitlement." I didn't flinch, just looked her in the eye and said, "You're making a mistake." On the plane, I settled into my seat, barely. Madison showed up again, all poised with a silver tray and this forced smile. She handed me a glass of champagne, then knocked my bag off the armrest. Everything spilled. Passport, boarding pass, phone. The whole aisle froze. She leaned down, cold as ice, and said, "This isn't your place. You think this is real? You're just playing dress-up." And in that moment, I felt it. That fire, that heat in your chest when someone strips your dignity like it's nothing. I picked up my phone and tapped Initiate Protocol. The cabin lights flickered. All the screens switched from flight info to a red emergency broadcast. And then came the message. White text on red background. Flight crew terminated. Credentials revoked. Criminal charges pending. Madison stood there, champagne flute still in hand, like someone yanked the floor out from under her. The passengers looked around, murmuring, some wide-eyed, some stunned. And then the air marshal stepped out of the galley like clockwork. "Miss Rowe," he said, voice calm, "you are under arrest for assault on a minor and breach of duty." He cuffed her right there in front of everyone. She didn't fight it, just kind of crumbled. People started clapping. Quiet at first, then building. A guy in 2B raised his glass and said, "About time." But I wasn't celebrating because she got taken away. I was relieved because something changed. And I knew if I didn't speak up right then, all this would just be noise. So I stood up, took out Grandma's silver heart pin, and stepped into the aisle. "I'm Lily Hart," I said. "Some of you saw what just happened. I want to apologize for it, but I also want you to know it stops here." I laid it out. New training, emergency oversight, real-time passenger reporting, and a standing invite for feedback at every Hart terminal. No fluff, no delay. Then I asked the question that had been burning in my gut. If been a Hart, would you still have stood up for me? The silence said everything. Then Leah, another flight attendant, stepped forward. She looked like she was carrying 100 pounds of guilt. If I'm honest, probably not. I would have thought it was a family thing. I wouldn't have known what to do. Another crew member chimed in. I figured someone else would step in. Even a businessman who'd been watching everything said, "We're used to these standoffs, and we just pretend not to see them." That hit hard, but it was real. I told them, dignity isn't something you earn with a last name. It's something you deserve, just for being human. That was the moment everything shifted. By the time we landed, digital signs at every HART terminal were flashing updates. Anti-bias training launched, crew reforms in motion, feedback forums open. People were watching, not just the passengers on Flight 908, but the whole company, the whole brand. When I got off the plane, staff lined the jet bridge. They weren't clapping for me. They were acknowledging what that moment meant. Grandma met me at the end. She didn't say much, just pulled me into a hug and whispered, "You turned a slap into a movement." But this isn't about revenge. It's about what happens when someone finally says, enough. So now I'm saying it to you. If you saw someone getting humiliated, someone young, someone different, would you speak up? Or would you look the other way? Because I don't care how much money someone has, how old they are, or what seat they're in. Everyone deserves to feel safe, seen, and respected. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever seen something like this? What did you do? What would you do? I'm listening, and I hope others are too. First day at Halewood Academy, I stepped through those tall iron gates wearing my brother's old shoes and a second-hand backpack that squeaked when I moved. And I knew, deep in my gut, I wasn't meant to fit in there. The halls sparkled with marble, the kids shimmered in designer clothes, and I was the one who rode the public bus while they got dropped off in Escalades. I barely had time to find my locker before it started. "Look who brought the ghetto to campus," Chase Whitmore smirked, leaning against the lockers like he owned the place. "What's your dad do, huh? Work the food stamp line?" And yeah, it hurt. But I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I reached into my bag and tapped a single message to Grandma. It happened.